Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming so early. I know this is a big thing to do. Well, welcome back to the Light Room, a room that is solely dedicated to the art and craft of lighting, not to the tech side, but more to the art side, and to try to understand what lighting actually can do, because we all have the feeling, together with the manufacturers helping to put this together, to actually create quality light is something that happens up here, and not when you put your credit card through the machine to buy something. So this morning we have two amazing cinematographers here, Samir Ljuma and Fejmi Daut. They did Honeyland, which is just exploding right now, and it is the most insane thing I've seen just from the small clips here, how much you actually can achieve with nothing, what that actually means to be able to do something with nothing. So it reminds me a little bit of going to Italy to slow food, and you just get a pasta with just tomato sauce and one piece of basil in it. You have to reduce it down to nothing, that becomes to perfection. So we'll try to put this over to lighting. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I mean, yes, lighting with nothing. When I had a chance, in Vienna, I met Christian Berger. He came to see our movie, and that's how this idea of coming here and talking with you came up. Unfortunately, he's not with us. He needed to go urgently to Vienna, but I'm so happy that Jakob is here, because we're in the good hands. I will start with a clip, then I will make some small introduction about how we started with the movie, and we will continue with light.
Şıncarım. Hem size hem. Yarı sana, yarı bana.
We started this project in 2014. The same crew, two directors, Ljuma Stefanov and Tamara Kotevska. Maybe I should stand, right? So others can see me. And we had only 3 months to finish some kind of a corporative documentary about nature conservation project that we were commissioned. That's why we started 2 cinematographers and 2 directors. The same crew, we were working also in very short period to produce another documentary before this one. We didn't thought that it will take us to the journey of 3 years and 1 additional year for editing. to finish this project with all the good and bad things that we experienced. I will talk about the good things. One of them is being able to shoot in the environment where you're limited with most of the things. In the beginning and till the end, we used the equipment that the producer and one of the directors, Ljuma Stefanov, had as his own equipment. It was 2 DSLRs, 2 lenses, 1 microphone, external zoom. That's how we started, but we finished it only with additional DSLR, Nikon D5, entire project. We didn't had electricity in the village where we shot the movie. I don't know how many of you have chance to see the movie. Probably. Oh, there are some. Oh, okay, good. So, luckily we didn't have electricity. So if we had electricity, we would be tempted to use some additional light to make it looks better. Now we were facing actually to be able to work only with natural light. I want to show you the first clip, and then we will talk about challenges with that kind of lighting situations. For this scene, we shot it almost till on the end of our shooting, after almost 3 years spent in the village, and we were always listening from our main character Atije how she was catching the bees, which for us the story was very confusing. You know, like she was saying, like when I hear the new swarm is coming, I can hear them and I can run and I can sing to the queen bee, so the queen bee is coming, so okay. And one moment she noticed this and she started running to get the basket. And we were facing, and I was facing the situation where you have to enter into a swarm of bees without any protection. And the lighting was perfect. It was a sunset, almost. But we didn't have any filters, which was good because we had to compensate with the shutter speed, and with that situation we managed. I mean, as you know, otherwise with the motion blur, if we shot with 180-degree rule, we wouldn't see the bees that much. Now you can see every kind of bee when it's in the frame. So we were lucky that we didn't had. We were in that kind of situation that making compromise, it helps us to get this picture. Yes, please.
I mean, if you look at this scene over here, it's getting really tricky with the sun. I mean, it's going to be gone like in 10 minutes, it looks like, at least from here. How do you time that stuff? I mean, because it's a documentary, so it's something you're in the flow of it. But, you know, the best light is always when it's the most complicated to get sometimes. Can you share something about choosing times of days and when to shoot certain things to get certain images?
I mean, for the most of the situation, like landscapes and the moments within the dialogues between her and her mother, we know what time of the day. For the interiors, no matter if it's a night or a day, we will use candle lights or oil lamps. But for the exteriors, the first 3 months of shooting gave us enough time to know to be familiar with the surrounding. That footage, because the style of that we were shooting, we were using a lot of drone and gimbal at the moment, because we didn't know that we will work on something that we get as a product. We completely abandoned. So that was only useful as a study. So regarding choosing the locations, this particular location, we didn't know that the swarm will be there, so she can be. But we were lucky that it was in the end of the day and the lighting was perfect, which you can see later on when we made a close-ups, the sun is even more down. And it was enough to complete the scene. I don't know if Fejmi has...
Because we spent a lot of time there during the shooting.
Can you just quickly explain how long the film was being shot there and which locations you had to get familiar with the whole surrounding of it?
We spent there 3 years and 100 shooting days for the whole projects. And close to this village, all the surroundings, and you saw it with the drone shot, like 2 or 3 kilometers away from her house, and we spent a lot of time just to explore which location is better to choose and in which light. Is it in the morning, on afternoon, or later? Because all the shadows. Sometimes we made a lot of shots during the top of the sun. I mean, at 12 o'clock during the day, and everything was flat. So we didn't like it because we saw the action that Hatice made it was just perfect, but the sunlight, it wasn't so good. So we decided just to repeat some of the situation that she actually did it. So.
Was that something you wrote down or something because also in the production schedule that I could say what locations can be shot where to communicate for everybody to know?
This was the story about what she's doing with the bees, because we must catch the process of the beekeeping, and that's why we had a chance to repeat something, because the whole process of the beekeeping is starting from April till end of October. So that's why we just all the time explore and find better solution. We repeated a lot of times just the opening of the beehives, but we didn't have a great conditions with the sunlight, or it was very late at afternoon. So
I often see that with great cinematographers is that the trial and error process. Yeah. Like to say, I'm great at my craft. I don't need to test anything. I know what I'm doing. The better the people are, the more comfortable they feel with saying, oh, we'll try this. If it doesn't work, we'll repeat it and do something differently. And it seems like you did on this film too.
I mean, we observed enough while shooting, and we had enough time to see the materials after and to be able to go back and to concentrate on certain actions and situations. Of course, for the unpredictable situation which makes the movie content-wise, not picture-wise interesting, we couldn't control that. So the scene which I will show you later with the cows, yes, they're doing this every day. So we decided to shoot when it's overcasted. So we will exclude these shadows, and probably I should play that scene. I mean, this was happening every day. This is the scene that you can catch any moment when you want. And it always looked like this. Luckily, we were two cinematographers, so one will do with the telelenses, and I was inside and running with the kids, trying not to...
Die.
No, well... yes, so, I mean, we are talking about light, yeah. So we choose most of the, I mean, this scene we were lucky because the most of the footage is from one shooting day, or one situation, because this is almost end of the day when they're bringing back the cattles, the cows, and this rodeo kind of situation starts. I mean, we try to film when it's a bright sun, but doesn't look that good. So we choose this scene to get into the movie.
Why didn't it look good in the sun?
I mean, when you're running, your shadow is always present, so you cannot control. There was, because it is end of the day, and I don't know. It was a strange kind of feeling when we were looking to this footage. I will say maybe because we didn't had so much time to shoot these scenes. So we have only 2 times, I think, or 3 times, and one was when it was overcasted. So, and it was not exactly overcasted. You can see that partly there was a sun. So,
I think when you watch this scene here, especially, it shows sometimes it's so important to step back with the light, that it's not about the perfect light, because other things are more important. I think that's, especially as a gaffer, important to know that too. But so the question actually is, what were you looking for in that scene? What were you looking at with the camera that you didn't need light for, actually, sunlight?
oh, sorry, sorry. I mean, maybe this is the scene because it was more dynamic and it was better for telling the story. But I'm also happy that it's this one. Because I don't know, I personally the feeling of with this kind of lighting was for me much better. I don't know how to say why that one was not so good. Maybe because it was very too much contrast, and here is you're more concentrated on the action and what is happening around.
I think that's a major point, because if you need to concentrate on your own shadows, you're not in the scene and in the flow, and you can really feel that here, that the whole space and the dynamic that's happening actually takes place. For the second camera, were you walking around for different positions too?
Yeah, we were just all the trying to find a better position, a better angle, because you saw it in the scene. They are childs. Also, they are just running after the cows and take the milk from the cows. So it was just happening in the second. So if you miss the situation, you will lose all that scene. So that's we are just all the time following one of us, what he's in which kind of direction he is, and I was just trying to cover the other side, and we actually grab all this situation in 5 minutes. So it happens everything fast.
I just want to say again, you're always welcome to ask questions. We're a small enough group, that was the idea of it. So if we always go from one scene to the next, would be great. Before we start something new, always pop out the question if something comes up.
I can just add about those scenes that we didn't use the bright, during the sun, because we had this kind of difference of white chaos and browny and darker. So everything, it was like, we didn't have this middle tonality in the frame. It was everything bright or everything dark because of the contrast of the light. As the situation, it was nice. I mean, it was also dynamic, but when we saw the picture, you know, we didn't have too much details. It was just this detail in the highlighting in the blacks. So we didn't have these middle tones.
I mean, should I play another one?
Yeah.
I should play probably.
Let's go maybe inside, have a look
inside,
inside.
inside.
Ana. Ana. Bu şeyi görüyor musun?
Görüyorum. Cenazece. Bu gözüm böyle, bu gözüm.
Yani yarın çıkarayım. Oldu 3 sene çıkaramam çıkacağız dışarıya. Güneş al.
Çıkamaz, çıkamam. Çıkarırsan sen beni ya. Ben olduğum gibi olmuşum. Ölmem kızım da ölmem. Nasıl kızım seni çektirir. Ölmem kızım. Ölmeye niyet yok bende. Ekmek yiyeyim, su içeyim. Ne ister canım yiyeyim.
I mean, most of the time when Hatice and her mother were talking, it was during the night. So one of the lights that she was using was when she had this petroleum, oil. So it was oil lamp, which was for us was the biggest challenge and problem. So we were trying to avoid because of the flicker. You know, like it can get very annoying when it's a longer scene. This pulsing kind of small kind of explosions that this lamp is producing. And as you can see, you know, Hatice was trying always kind of to adjust to calm it down, but it was really not possible. I mean, again, even there is a flicker, as you can see, it gives this kind of feeling of real, real feel of atmosphere.
It's interesting because usually we have this impulses to react on certain things like this. Like we would say always when you have candles going, you're trying to bring in some fill light. Just to take care of that. And not to have that and to reduce it down to something like that actually brought out something really interesting, because if that would be a constant light, I don't think it would have been that strong like that.
Actually, what is most important thing that we are creating image in our mind. So it was, even if it is more darker, if you don't see all the details, you can imagine what happens there. So sometimes you don't need to put a lot of lights to see all the situation. Even when you're gonna watch, like on the frame, it's like 20% with the light, and everything from the rest is like dark. You don't have any kind of details. But it is the most important thing, that these small parts like face and eyes, it's enough to see it in the frame and to understand what's happening there.
I mean, it goes so well together because you've got the fragility of this woman. And to have light go out and come back on again is such something so strong. But just from the technical side of lighting, it's the most interesting thing, I think, is the eye. Because she's talking about one dead eye, one right eye. And I don't know why it technically doesn't happen, but you don't see the flicker in the eye.
Technically, because the other eye has this, how you call, cataracts, but very advanced, which had that kind of matte surface, and you cannot see the reflection that much.
I mean, it looked like a really dark space in there, and with the light. Was that something you tested beforehand, before shooting this? Because it seems like so fragile, too.
We just entered there in the house. I mean, and we saw that everything, even the walls, are very dark because of the smoke. No, even this during the day you can see it. It's a little bit yellow, but it's all with this kind of black dots from the smoke, and the ceiling is everything. I mean, like black. So we didn't have how to even to put some other lights or bounce to reflect something more to the face or to the interior. It doesn't reflect, you know. Just you can put a lot of lights and no reflection from the walls.
I mean, we only at certain scenes, not in this particular, but in the day I will show you later, we used just a white board on the ceiling just to get a bit more atmosphere in the winter scenes. I will show you later.
But was it on purpose, or was it just by pure accident you walked into that scene and there was no way to prep it? Because the where she puts the light to where you're with the camera, I mean, it's the perfect angle for the light. Anything else wouldn't have looked good.
Okay, I mean, when before we go inside, we know that she's going to go and spend time. So we tell her where to put the oil lamp, which usually, even if we don't tell her, that was the place where she'll put a candle. Or sometimes, you know, our character, she will never use two candles, but in certain scenes, you can see that we have two candles, and that was our intervention, because we were always on the edge. And we needed a little bit of more details. Maybe I can show that clip with two candles. Two candles.
I can add something to.
Yeah, sure.
It's good that now, I mean, nowadays we have this kind of equipment that we can force our sensors, our cameras to high ISO. So in those situations of the night scenes, we use it around 2000 ISO on these DSLRs, and we saw it a little bit green, but after that little bit with some corrections, it doesn't look that it's had gray. So there's also, I mean, advantage to use these DSLRs and new cameras with this dynamic range.
I mean, I'm sure you have experienced more sensitive sensors in your work, but we had only what we had. And sorry for sorry. And maybe the fastest lens was 2.8, so that was the maximum we can go.
Tamam ödeyeceğim Fatih. Senin içine gireyim.
Bizde de yok ya. Bir köyde yoksa yakın, neresi yoksa yakın.
Tabii.
Neyse.
Tabii.
Yukarı kışına kaldık.
O kişinin de iyi.
Bizim işimiz o.
Benim de nasıl ölmüş, o 8 yaşında. Ondan sonra pek öğrenmedim. 3 kız. Birisi yaşında, birisi 9 ay, birisi 3 ay. Benden çok ilgili. Orada karşılık olmuş.
Ana, kalk, vereyim karpuz yesin biraz. Karpuz biraz vereyim yesin. Pişt, pişt. Karpuz vereyim.
Karpuz mu?
Yavaş biraz.
Yemin var.
Ama güzel. Çok tatlı.
Ya gitsin işte.
Aha. Lütfiye yürüsün getir. Tut böyle. Ha. Akıtmaz ver.
Şunlar işte.
Dur ben sana bir de. Hadi.
Küçük kesmemiş.
Peki yastım küçük de.
Ya.
Isır. Ondan daha küçük ne? Tatlı mı?
Aha.
Buranın karpuzu ana bak bu dil ilaçlı. Dilo satınlar gibi ana. Yavaş.
Yesneyim bak.
Dur de.
Ört tatlı. Karpuzla yedik.
I mean, maybe I will start because there are two kind of situations. One outside, in front of the fire. The challenging thing when we were shooting with open flame and open fire, there was constantly one of the directors needed to fill because the flame was not always constant, and to be able to shoot, we really needed some kind of consistency and for the continuity of the scene, and that was their job. So to be sure that we have catched everything and everything from the situation can be used, we really needed to care about the flame, which was sometimes, you know, you just leave the camera and go and just put one more paper to just get the flame back, and it was always kind of game back and forth and trying to keep
like,
it.
Like using this dimmer, so you can put it.
You can
I'm making a joke.
you can do it.
Yeah, but it was like as we are using this kind of dimmer, so you can push it a little bit, 100% or maybe 20%. So just all the time.
One would more
different. Yeah.
And inside you see usually she will put the light, one candle light on the window, but we had another one from the other side, otherwise we wouldn't see anything.
Could you go back to the fire? There's one extremely beautiful frame there that with the cat going through, and there was with the portrait of the girl. Because I think we can't talk about light without talking about the objects it reflects off, because obviously you only can see light. There it is. Stop. Yeah, perfect. So I mean, I think this is such a beautiful shot because it goes out into the darkness, and by having this beautiful thing happening there, actually get some exposure again. So by having that actually becomes beautiful. How do you look for these kind of things when you're shooting to find these happy accidents?
I mean, you don't have too much flexibility. We were asked in one Q&A by some students of cinematography if I was asked if I wanted some kind of equipment and some kind of conditions that I didn't have, if I had chance to have it, what it will be to make this look better. And I still think that the only thing which I was missing was better tripods. We had really crappy tripods which were very difficult to set up. So for this kind of scenes, we were relying on luck. You position yourself, or if something's really happening, because they are sitting here and not too much can happen. But if they happen, we were always ready to just get it and start shooting handheld. So that was something that we were trying to catch intentionally. But when you're on a tripod, we didn't have too much flexibility.
It's interesting because I often hear that, oh, this was luck. And what I've seen over the years is that there is no luck. It's your luck that you saw this coincidence, that you saw it at the right time and were able to capture it. So if this is a relighting process or something like here, the camera has to be rolling at that time, and then obviously that's the ends of the movie.
We've tried to be all the time like invisible eye, you know, even because we are walking around them, we just didn't want to interrupt them. I mean, just to talk. I mean, they are talking, and we are just observing from the little bit distance, you know, from back side of them, and that's why we're trying to find a better angles and reactions, because all the night scenes like they are during these 2 or 3 hours in the night, so that's the only way that we can capture the different situation. Even with the cat, even the baby is sleeping on the motherhood. So no, it was like, okay, these are the moments that can show in the story more details about their relation, because otherwise, if we missed those kind of details, it will be a different story.
Are you always shooting 2 cameras?
Not always. No, not always. Most of the time. When we have this kind of, how I can say, crowdy shots, you know, with the gathering with the 2 families or the children, we are trying all the time. No, it is impossible to make reaction if I have something behind me and something is happening in front of me. So that's why we cover most of the time.
A question?
Yeah.
Yes. Just trying to understand. Was it easier for you in those sort of challenging light to be more invisible as well? So you're around the fire, you're actually in the shadow a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Did that help with the atmosphere?
I mean, the other thing that helped they to be more open was that we are not speaking their language. So they were also very confident to talk whatever they want. They knew that we are not understanding. Or Fejmi is speaking, but they're speaking some kind of more archaic, more old, using not modern Turkish language.
Dialect, yeah.
But also, yes, in the scenes here, fire, yeah, they're facing fire, we are behind, or when we are in the front, we are in the shadow, yeah, they're lit by the fire, so they cannot see, they don't know where we are. But also inside the hat, even it's very tiny, it's like very small, you don't have too much space to manipulate and to position the camera. You have like basically 2 positions. One is which we always used, which was pretty good because we can always have these 2 shots with the mother and the daughter. But if we want to face the window, that was almost impossible because the stove was mostly working during the summer or winter because they are cooking on that stove. Unless we are, sometimes when we are there, because we will have a fire outside, they will cook, otherwise they will cook only inside. So shooting from the next to the stove was also not very pleasant. But yes, I agree that we were more invisible using this kind of position in this night shots.
And again, it's a limitation.
Excuse me?
It's a limitation of the small crew, the low impact kind of becoming an advantage, I suppose.
Yes, and the trust. I mean, we become very, very close. We are still in contact with the family, with both families, with Hatice and with the kids and their parents. I mean. If you see the movie, very often they say like, "Oh my God, you know, like we don't believe it's a documentary. It looks so fiction." Because how come in the documentary when you're filming someone who is not an actor, never see the camera, never look at the camera? Of course, in the beginning we tried to tell them, you know, please not look at the camera, but you cannot do that with the kids. That's why it was good that we were well, most of the time, especially with the kids, 2 cameras, because they're always unpredictable and always something is happening. There is action 24/7 unless they're sleeping. So
It also helped us a little bit in the situation in the interiors, in the night scenes and during the day scenes, that mother, she didn't hear very well and she didn't, she was some kind of blindness. So that's a little bit help us that we can enter inside, and during those 3 years that we shot it like there, she knows maybe just 3 or 4 times we enter it and just we shake a hand with her. But all of the other time she didn't know that we are shooting inside. And she asked Atice who brings the banana, so I mean that is the dialogue in the film, and she told her like kind of liar that I bring the bananas from Skopje, but we brought the banana to her. And she's just wondering how it happens. But that was also a happy situation for us that she didn't see and she didn't hear well.
Could you, sorry, could you talk a little about like how this came about? Like how, you got there, how the story, I mean, you didn't speak the language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe you were attracted to the bees and then suddenly this whole thing starts unraveling while you're there. But I'm also curious too, when you set up to do a doc, when you're so intimate with a group of people like this, like how much time, how do you enter that situation? Do you live there for a month before anything starts happening? Like what's your process?
Okay. Actually, we already worked with Ljubomir, with the main director, about national conservation program in Macedonia in this region. And we spotted these small beehives, empty beehives next to the river, and we were just wondering what is this like, who is taking care about those bees. And one of the colleagues from the Macedonian Ecological Society, he told us that there is a family in this abandoned village. They are keeping this kind of traditional keeping of the bees like 50 years ago. And we get this idea because we are already worked on these topics from environmental issues in Macedonia, and that's how idea came from the beginning about to make a documentary about beekeeping. When we spotted Atice and her mother, it was like this the things that we are searching for all life, because we are not so far like Skopje from this village, like it's 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers, it's not so far, but it's an area that nobody knows that someone lives there. So when we spotted Atice and her mother and how they look and how she opened herself in front of us, it was like this is the life story, and that's how we started to make this story. And when the second family appears, like few months after that, we just think of that how to spread the story. To make a little bit more dynamic, more interested story.
I'd like to jump back one step to that question that was asked earlier about the gear limitations.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have made a better movie cinematography-wise if you would have had more equipment?
Probably not. When we see the result, we are quite happy. Of course, we were aware of the limitations, so we tried to use as much as possible what we had. And it will be more comfortable if we have something which gives a little bit of comfort, but again, it will not be that small, easy to transport, easy to carry. So I think it was a perfect kind of setup which we had. maybe later we can share. You can share with us your experience if there are any documentary filmmakers who are facing this kind of situations or any kind of situation. What kind of equipment do you use? Maybe you will give me a tip for my next project. Thank you.
But don't say that to your next producer.
Yeah, they will always like, oh, bring your Nikon. We don't have them anymore.
Well, it's really an interesting point, because actually what he's saying is not having the possibility to have the gear made the film better.
Yeah.
So there's this thing where he said the comfort. We always have, like, we don't make fun of cinematographers when we're loading the trucks, but it's always, oh, this is the comfort light. So there's always this thing there that actually at the end, as it seems like, doesn't necessarily make your work better, no?
I mean, even these DSLRs are not so perfect, like in dynamic range or in the highlights. That's the actually look that gave us this limitation of the picture. I mean, all the artifacts that they are inside in the sensor, they look like this. If we had like, I don't know, Sony Alpha or I don't know, maybe other Canon DSLR, it will be different. But what helped to us, it was like a very compact camera that we can hold it with the one hand and just to run through all the scenes, because otherwise if we had like maybe camera on the rig, on the shoulder, it will be different.
We will miss a lot of situations.
Yeah, so that's why we were sometimes so tight in the corner, so we couldn't have even a space to put in the camera on the arm. So everything, hold it on the, I don't know, lower part, so it's very hard.
I remember when we started feeling that we have some kind of very interesting story that we have to continue filming to make a bigger project. We were discussing, okay, only what we can shoot is HD. So we were discussing, okay, maybe with this money that we will get the next, we can spend in buying Atomos, because it will help us to at least to see on bigger monitor, because that was also challenging. We didn't have a monitor. We were just looking at this small display. Or we were discussing, and then like, at least we can have something better to work in post. Or maybe we can buy a second-hand zoom lens, which was 70-200, 2.8. And so we decided, yeah, zoom lens. Telelenses is more important at this point then. And then later on in the stage, when we get the prize from Sarajevo Film Festival, when it was work in progress session, we managed to buy 5D, which again we didn't use the 4K possibility, because then we were facing, okay, we don't have enough memory cards and not batteries and time to make a backup in that kind of condition. So we were limited. We're going 2 to 4 days, and we want to shoot as much as possible because we don't know when will be the next possibility to go and to shoot.
Was there ever the thought to bring on lights from the beginning on? Was it always clear it's going to be shot with nothing?
I mean, we had one. Not to bring lights. We never thought about bringing lights because we know that we didn't have budget for that.
But is it a budget issue or was it an artistic decision?
In the beginning was the budget issue. So you cannot say I want this, because no, we don't have. And we didn't thought that we're gonna shoot inside the head. Like we were not planning. It was a project about nature conservation, so what the mother-daughter relationship will give you as a top on this topic. So in the beginning, we were only prepared to shoot these landscapes. RTJ is working with the bees, so you don't need lighting for that. But later on, when we started shooting with the mother, we were already there, and yeah. So basically, the style and the artistic approach was decided because we were already in production somehow, but every time there will be something new, so that was the kind of move we had.
There was a question.
Sorry if you mentioned that microphone-wise, what did you have? And did you have headphones to check?
Thank you for the question. Well, we didn't have sound recorders on the set. In the beginning, we had only this small Zoom recorder, H2, which we will throw wherever there is some action. And later on, we had same Rode, like on his camera, as a shotgun on camera, and we bought one lavalier, and when we were shooting dialogue scenes or something that we'll think that there will be some kind of dialogue, we will wire Atija, so she was the only one wired, and we rely on that. Or in the scenes with the family, when we are shooting, some of them, usually the father will be the one who will be wired.
As cinematographers, when in a situation, especially when it's dark, is the sound something you think about? What you're missing in an image, and it's because you're going to have it there?
Actually, I talk a lot of times with Ljuma that we need a professional sound guy on the set. Just because of all of the dialogues that they are on the set. Even it's better to have some boom mic instead of this wireless mic, or some small Zoom recorder, because it gives a different sound when you're gonna get with the boom mic. I mean, you can catch all the dialogues between them, and with the one wireless mic that it will be on the Atij or in Hussein short, it will be just from one point. So, but we couldn't afford to take the boom mic operator, and we decided just to make it in this way.
But I can add, but we were lucky we found very good sound designer in Lebanon. Yeah, Rana 8, she did an amazing job. I remember when we sent her the worst sound bites, she bring it back, we were like, wow. So.
I'll still repeat the question, I will let go. When you're filming and you see, this is going dark here, is that something where you say, well, it's not going to work? Or it's something where you're actually listening to the sound and saying, wait a minute, I don't need to see this right now. I'll wait till they go back into light because I'm hearing it.
Actually, it is, as you say it, during, when I'm also working on features, or sometimes even during the lighting, I'm trying all the time to give a space to the boom mic operator, just because I need to be part of this. About the sound. So if I put a lot of lights, so there will be no space to boom operator to put the mic. So I'm all the time thinking during it doesn't matter if it is something that happens in the front, or the side, I'm caring about the sound. If something takes me or annoys me, like that's happening in behind, I'm trying to take care about the issues that happen in the side, just to take a clear sound in the front. So I'm all the time like, as a picture, because it's same important as a picture also with the sound. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I cannot give advance just to the picture. So everything must be perfect.
Should we play one for day? Did we play for the daylight inside the interior? No? I don't remember.
So we'll have a clip now to look what it looks actually daylight inside the hut.
Kapılarında kurtulsam bir kere zaman Allah'a dua ediyorum. Gece günler kurtulayım gayrı ya zaman. Yok nereye ne yapayım, yok nereye seni tutarım. Bebek olsayım kucağımda kaçırayım seni buradan. Kurtulayım onlardan, bu su kapılarından gayrı. Sen kardeşim ben ne yapıyorsun? Sen öldürürsen ben ne yapacağım?
Teyze,
Düz orada. Aparsalar yapsınlar. Ben dedim ben ne alsınlar ne de kalmayın.
Allah sağ olsun. Hiçbir sorun çıkayım çıkma.
Evet, ben kazanacağım paramı. Ama
Yaksın ciğerlerini Allah.
onlar da görsünler benim günümü.
Cebizden Allah'tan.
I mean, here, as you can see in the beginning, which is obvious that through the door we try to bounce with how you call it, styropor, with what?
Polyboard,
yeah,
yeah.
polyboard, which you can see she's probably getting blind and she cover her face because of that. And we have one more situation in the.
Let's stick with that for a second. There's a lot of stuff happening here that's really interesting, actually. The bright light coming into the room, the warm light, where did that come from? With the shadow.
With the shadow, we are bouncing outside through the door because the sun was on the opposite side, so we were bouncing inside. Otherwise, we will not have these details in the background, or she will not be that bright. So.
Because it's so beautiful to see the transition between the mother again and the daughter, where she's in the light and the mother isn't in the light.
Shadow, yeah.
Is that something you purposely decided how to do it?
Yeah.
Yes, because we have several scenes like this. The winter scenes are completely different. So these are the summer scenes, and the summer scenes are always with. She was wearing this kind of dress during the summer actions and period. And we had another. Probably I will play that one, so you will see the difference also in the tone, color tone.
But it's also here, it's so beautiful to see how it's so cool from the small window. And you can see it then in the portrait of the mother, which is incredible, because it takes that cool light to actually, can you go there?
Yeah.
To go to the skin, because
We just used this natural source from the window because it was actually impossible to get a light for her, like some kind of full light. So we can see just details of the eye and on the scarf, on the hands. So it's enough. I mean, if we put it a much more light, I'm telling all the time that we should not see everything in the frame, and otherwise it will look like television documentary. So that's why when I'm working on the documentaries, I'm trying to keep like less details. I mean, like maybe some small important things, like in this situation, like eye or some details of the hand. It is enough. I don't need to see everything around where she's sleeping or where she's staying, because in the frame, as you saw it, there is a contrast. I mean, just this yellow shirt, and there is between them this dark part, and after that you can see this blanket. So this is some details that they can make a story,
I mean, 1 second, there's two things there, because one is the skin, and the other thing is the eye.
Yeah.
Because you could see in her eye, you could see yourself in it. There was the dark space in the scene. There was these two little vague things. Anything else would have brought in would have ruined the portrait again because of the eye light.
I actually love more contrast things. I mean, I don't want to be like more like if I have some I don't know, reflective side, I don't want it. I will just block it. It's better to see just this kind of silhouette of the light. There was also one scene in the exterior where Hussein, it was on the top of the rock, and everything was like bright. I mean, the clouds, and behind him, and we can see just
the fire scene.
No, the cow things.
The cow, yeah, the silhouette.
So, yeah, the silhouette. So we can expose to his face, but it's better to see him like in silhouette.
A comment?
Yes.
Comment on that. I think this is really at the heart of a lot of what we're trying to do with cinematography. Is you're talking about limitations.
Sorry, Alan, would you mind coming up front and sitting down? And then everybody can hear, and I can give you the microphone. That'll be better.
Thank you.
Sorry, just a comment. Do you want the mic or not?
No, have a seat, and I'll give you the mic.
So I just want to say that, I think this idea of limitations, and I find myself often feeling responsible to be safe technically. Like I want to put a little bit of fill in so that the blacks are at a base, and later on we'll be able to time it down to black, and it's the responsible thing to do as a technician. But what you guys are talking about here is artistry. You're making the choice in the camera, in the day, to not show us things and let things go black. I think it's a very important distinction between being a technician and being an artist. I just really admire what you're doing in this film. It's just magnificent work, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Alan Jacobson.
Thank you very much. For this project, we had that freedom. If it was something else, probably we will also care about bringing better equipment and not working with what we had. But we were so enthusiastic in this approach that we said we are doing it. And of course, every time we go back, we watch what we have, and we were pretty happy. So we were like, okay, yeah, this works perfectly. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, and facing the situation on the spot, no matter what. So because the story becomes more important at that point, and of course for the directors. But for us, was obviously we were safe because we were all happy with what we had already shot the day before or a week before. So we just keep going.
Pushing.
Yes.
Pushing it.
Yeah.
Bolder.
So I can play one more clip for the end. Yeah, and.
Dondu mu çok? Haydi. Haydi. Mamacı. Haydi. Neziden dolapta neyden süt kayma anne bana yok sana mar. So I will start from the last. Opa. Yeah. Of course, in this shot, we position her to light the candle inside, and as you can see, there is details on the surface of the house, and this is the only time we used our headlamp or a phone, I think,
It was like this,
just to give a bit more and to imitate the moonlight. I don't know if we achieved. You will tell us, but
just for the camping, you know, the small one. It was this small camping light. It was like this huge. So we just put it on the one how to say wood and tree, yeah. And that's how we actually tried to make this moonlight, because we didn't have other choice to make it, because we can saw it with the eye. We spent a lot of nights there during the full moonlight, and it was perfect when you can see it with your eyes. But we couldn't see it in the camera. It was very, very hard, so we must make this kind of time-lapse shots to take this exposure. And it was impossible to do it, and that's why we decided to use this small LED lamp.
It's the most exciting times that lighting has been freed from exposure.
Yeah.
You can use anything.
Yeah. I mean, I know there are other master classes at 12 that you want to run, I think.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Final rounds?
Can I just ask something about the shutter speed on the beginning? Did you play around with shutter speeds at all? Like,
With the bees?
no, just beginning of that clip with the trees and the leaves, and then did you?
I mean, yes, we didn't, on daylight we always had to double the shutter speed because we didn't have ND filters. That's why you see the details. There is no natural motion blur that you can get when you... Sorry?
Did you have it at 100?
Yeah, 100. Or sometimes even we were pushing more, depends of the lighting conditions. But yes, for the daylight scenes, 100 was sort of a minimum. And of course, aperture.
We usually on the daylight scenes we worked with like 5.6 or 8, you know, because of the sunlight, and in the minimum ISO in 100 ISO, and all the time playing with the shutter speed. Sometime when it was very sunny, it was like, I remember certain situation with the 500 shutter. So you know, it was difficult because we didn't have ND filters at all.
Yeah, but when something is more stable, even 500, you know, if we had some moving stuff, then it's really strange.
I quite like it though. It's a limitation, but it changes the movement of the leaves and the bees. And you wouldn't necessarily choose to do that.
I mean, probably we wouldn't. Me personally, but after this experience, I will know in certain situation what I can get, because this was also a process for me learning a lot.
I'll do one final question. Yeah. So after the experience of making this movie, how would you approach your next list, putting your gear together? Would it be less on there? Would you put more on there?
Actually, for me, most important thing is choice of the lens. So I worked, from my experience, on Arri, on Panasonic, on Sony, on Nikon or Canon, and they have all the good looks. But for me, it's most important thing to have a better optics, because that is I can say 90% of the making the image. If I don't have a good optics, it will be, I don't know, all blurry or not sharp. Because with the sensor now it's also easy, so you can work it in the post-production. You can make a lot of color grades and you can make a lot of experiments. But with the lenses, you cannot do that.
And my answer will be depends on the producer. So I have the dream list if I have chance to work with, and of course the optimal is always available in your pocket, your phone.
So the reduction, the limitations you had here that led to the result you have didn't give you the feeling for the next projects that you will want to try to limit yourself again to get a different kind of quality for a film?
I mean, depends on the project. Now I'm involved something which is more into science and technology. Of course, I will not shoot it with this because there's no sense. For some other project that I'm discussing, which has a similar topic, I mean similar, like Honeyland, then I will limit in that situation.
Well, thanks so much, everybody. On behalf of BB&S Lighting, the Lightbridge, DoP Choice. Thank you so much for coming.